Good evening. Thank you for taking the time to be with us tonight. This will likely be a short one unless people join on and ask some questions. So if you guys do that, we'll take those at the end. But the reason it's going to be short is because, like many of you, I suspect were you. Let me rephrase that. I suspect, like many of you, Wow, I'm butchering all this tonight. Like I said, I'm emotionally tired, and like many of you, I suspect, like many of you, good Lord, couldn't get that word sentence out. But it's been a long day, on top of a long week, on top of 2.5 long months. I think all of us at this stage are probably getting pretty for punch drunk, for lack of a better term. The emotions are just back and forth. And as we spend the last few days watching, these protesters have to battle people with ulterior motives and the police, and trying to make some sense of all this is draining. Trying to not to live in fear is draining. And trying to decide how can you actually help can be draining, because as individuals we are essentially so small. This is such a big thing, and as individuals we feel so small. And for some of us who are too old and broken to be part of protesting, it can be difficult to accept that your role is to try to talk to people who don't understand. And you might not be a perfect tool, but if you can get just one person to understand something that they didn't understand before, then maybe you've done some good in the world. If you can go a day without putting something negative into the world, then we've done some good into the world. I think at this stage we all have to think about ourselves as, okay, what can we do to make things better? Realistically, there's big structural changes that need to happen, and we need to have the courage to vote differently to make those things happen. And that's all true. But the immediate need is, what can we do tomorrow to make things better? Some people is to help go up and clean up some broken glass, or help board up a shop that was damaged. And for others, it's to help raise money or to pass out food for protesters, to run a medical tent for the protesters who get hurt by police violence or by the looter violence, because the protesters and the looters are not the same group of people. And so the question is, what do we do as individuals to help move forward, to help avoid the problem that has happened in the past, is getting distracted in different conversations, arguing over word semantics, or you're not doing it the right way, or whatever the various issues we complain about, right? We've all seen it happen, where the underlying issue gets forgotten about. The underlying issue is a systemic problem with the police department. And that problem comes from a systemic issue with the politicians, who don't want to make the changes that need to be made to change the mindset that the police operate under. I was watching an interview the other day with a retired sergeant, a woman retired sergeant on Larry Sharpe. Right? You can go look him up, the Sharpe Way. She was on there. And she was talking about how it's the system that corrupts officers. She's seen it. She's experienced it. You spend 10 years going out and interacting with the public. You don't start as being against the public. But what happens is you get taught to go meet your quotas, make your arrests, right? You have to meet these things. And because it's easier to do these things in poor and minority areas, that's where they hunt to meet their numbers. And over time, you ends up dehumanizing people. And what we are seeing now is essentially we have all been dehumanized. Our political system no longer sees us as individuals. They see us as cattle to be engineered. They have a goal, what they want to see society look like, and they will engineer us to get that goal. And our police are caught in the middle. And the problem is they've been caught in the middle for so long that the systemic racism is culturally embedded. It's not individual racism, it's a systemic racism. It's embedded because we have been trying to socially engineer these cultures into something that they don't want to be. We have to let them be what they want to be. We have to get the hell out of the way and help. Not help them become what we want them to be, help them become what they want to be. The solutions cannot come from the top down. They have to come from the bottom up. And it's jobs for people who are representative of the people to facilitate that, not to dictate it. And that's what I'm trying to figure out how to do. And I'll admit, I don't know how to do that, but I'm trying to learn and we're trying to work on it. And it's the effort that is important. Because what people haven't seen is a good, honest effort. And it's not that there's not politicians out there who aren't giving a good, honest effort, but people can't see it. We have to do it in a more open way. We have to create a system where the society, where individual people can participate in the legislative process. Essentially, we have to figure out an open source legislative process. There's off-the-shelf technology to do it. It doesn't need to be a secret anymore. Information flies fast, easy, and cheap. It used to be slow and hard. Now it's fast, easy, and cheap to get information. It's fast, easy, and cheap to process information. It's fast, easy, and cheap to work together. There's no reason for it. The world is fundamentally different than it was 50, 60, 100 years ago. Our institutions have to fundamentally change to meet the new world. And we, as individual citizens, have to stand up and take back the power we have let the politicians usurp. We did it. We let them take it. We can take it back. And we do it at the ballot box. So please, be safe out there and love everybody. Good night.